Today, we are joined by Vineet Garg, who is the founder and CEO of Milo, and he brings in more than 18 years of experience in driving product-based businesses. Prior to Milo, he has worked with Wink Music and Make My Trip, where he has anchored product roadmaps to find solutions for user problems and enable developers to build awesome applications. He has also driven sales and marketing strategies through data analytics and led cross-functional multi-level product development teams. He is an alumnus of the Indian School of Business, Hyderabad. Over to you, Vineet. Oh, we also have Madhu, who leads the Facebook and Instagram efforts for NiceOrg. And yes, please.
Hi everyone, thank you Rachit for introducing me. I'm Madhu and I work on NiceOrg's Instagram and Facebook. And recently, from our webinars, we've also started the Nice Live sessions, which are shorter and more engaging sessions on Instagram where you can engage with your speakers. So do take a look at our Facebook and Instagram, and if any of you think you would like to see a business featured, you can definitely write into us.
Yeah, over to you, Vineet.
Yeah. Oh, great. Thanks a lot, Rachit and Madhu. Fantastic for this opportunity to, speak to the community at NICE, and very happy to share our experiences and learning so far. And, I'm looking forward for this session, sharing what we are building, as well as some engaging conversations to have some good learnings for ourselves as well. So so a quick introduction. I'm Vineet, founder and CEO at Milo. I think Rachit already spoke about my background a little. We've been building Milo for approximately around 4 years now. 2018 is when we started. I will use quick introductory presentation to share with you all how we are building Milo, what we are thinking, what is the core concept behind it. So just allow me a second. Yeah. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, we can see.
Yes, we can see your screen. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right, so I will share a little bit about our story at Milo through this deck, and then open for conversation from there on. So Milo, our mission, our vision is to raise happiness in the world for the young parents, for the families that we work for, and Milo stands for My Little One. So essentially, it is centered around mother and baby segment is the area that we operate on. And the overarching vision that we have is that we want to help young parents to raise happy and healthy families by being their trusted companion. So that is how we believe everything that we do at Milo. I think the topic is also about content and community and commerce. So I mean, these are two metrics that we track very rigorously internally. How is our community growing in terms of our user base, and how is our revenue from that community, as well as the contribution because of that community growing. So I think in last couple of years has been a fantastic time for us. We've scaled our user base as well as our revenues multiple times, and things are looking good for similar ramp up from here on. And I think some of the early bets that we took on building a community, building a content engine, and putting a commerce layer on top of it is beginning to show very strong product market fit. We'll cover some bits of that as a part of this conversation. Overall, what the whole point of view, the whole thesis that we started with, and I wanted to build prior to building Milo, and background into building a couple of other products at Make My Trip and Wink Music. And a little bit of my journey at Milo got inspired by my own personal experiences. I was becoming a father, and then there was no one central lab that seemed to be solving the problems that mothers face. So, the overall problem statement or a problem or overall solution that we want to build is that what does a parenting app for a home screen look like? You have a home screen app for a fitness or for your cab, your music, but parenting, which is a very important component of lives of the users who are in that segment. What is that one overarching solution that can be provided to them? So that's what we're trying to build here. And in terms of the scope of the solution, the journey. So ultimately, it's a journey product that we are building. So parenting itself is a journey. The needs of the user, it keeps on changing as they evolve in their parenting journey. So for us, we are looking at approximately being the partner for our users for approximately 10 years. So our journeys, we cover 4 distinct states. From a user point of view, that trying to conceive, pregnancy, infant, and toddler. These are the 4 distinct solutions that we have created. The needs of the users largely and widely vary when they are in this cohort. And then in India, fertility ratios are approximately 2.1, 2.2. So on average, there are 2 kids per family, and therefore overall we are looking approximately 10 years of our association with a family, and 6 to 7 years for one kid is what we're looking for. And this makes for a huge market in terms of the spends that parents are doing in this time around their kids, and the scale of Indian. If I were to tell you a little bit about the scale, every 4th kid in the world is born in India. India does around 30 million babies every year. The next is China, around 15 million, and nobody else is in 2 digits. So from a new so from a birth's point of view, we are leading the world in a very, very large manner, and our solution is absolutely catered to Indian audience. That was the thesis day one we started. A little bit about who's our user. So we're very, very centralized on the mother, the woman and the mother, new and expecting mothers as our core user. Most of our users are first-time moms. We optimize on, getting them early in our journey, getting them with our product. Most of them are living in nuclear families, in towns or in cities. Thanks to a lot of e-commerce penetration in this audience from, beauty, fashion, bunch of other platforms, that most of them are online shoppers by the time they are with Milo. And we are mostly focused on, right now, a lot of our user base is considered on tier 1, tier 2 cities. So that's the right now, and this is fast evolving as we are launching in more and more languages and scaling the platform. So the overarching solution, the overarching theme behind Milo is being a full stack ecosystem. So we almost want to operate and build Milo at a operating system level for parenting as an OS. So therefore, building full stack ecosystem, nothing is off the table in terms of what we are building. And we've classified our current solution in 3 segments. There is engagement platform, which is a combination of community and our health tools, which is where our users engage with us, engage with other users. There's a platform. We'll talk about all of this. Then on top of it, we have built basically 2 monetization layers. So first one is around products, which is our consumer products. We have around 100 plus consumer products of our own. We do not do third-party products. We are from day one. We built our own supply, and these are all products built by us. And now we are also scaling ourselves into healthcare services vertical. We will also talk briefly about this vertical also. So this is how the full stack ecosystem is built, one-stop solution for the mothers, and this is the overall solution we're building. So we'll go into each of these now one by one. First, overall, this is how the solution looks like, how the app looks like. There are 5 tabs. First one is around content, where you get personalized daily content. The second one is around community. Here you can engage with other users. Then we have Milo products on our store. We have a clinic, and then you can earn through coins on Milo as well, and then redeem that in our store or on clinic. So all these features are built and live, and it's working in the app. So covering a little bit more details about the engagement platform, which basically consists of, again, three things: content, community, and health tools. So these are three things that are covered into this. So just in terms of scale, I mean, significant scale, in more than 30 million UGC, true UGC created. So we possibly are one of the largest true UGC platform in the country today in terms of daily Q&A, daily content that is being created on the platform as a pure UGC platform. User base is highly engaged, 25% time. They're using around 30 plus content items every day, and then on a monthly basis we get 12 plus sessions from these users. Overall, there is very strong acceptance of the solution that we have built in our content community layer for these users. And this is as we are gaining more and more learning from our users, and we are further scaling this platform now into multiple languages. All of that scale up is going on as we speak. So if I were to talk to you about like the core of the platform, then it's like personalized experience. So fundamentally, once again, I said parenting is a journey product. So from day one, we have structured the whole UX of the product as like, for the mother, she should believe, oh, this is exactly what I was thinking. This is exactly the problem I was facing. This is exactly the uncertainty I was having. So the way the product is structured from our algorithms, from our data network fact, is that, let's say you are in 20th week of pregnancy, you are worried about kicks about your baby. So the content around baby kicks, as well as the questions on baby kicks, which is up on your feed. And then similarly, as you keep on progressing in your journey, this personalization continues to stay with you, and this personalization becomes a very critical lever to build the right kind of trust with the users. Once you have these 2-3 instances, oh, this is exactly what I was thinking, and the app is talking about the same thing, that's when you begin to really trust the platform to give you more and more advice, and you begin to not second judge it. You begin to really believe in the platform, and we have enough instances of users just following what we are advising them to do. In terms of community, so you can compare us to almost like a Quora for parents. To make it easy for you to understand, the moms can participate in our Q&A, which is our most popular feature. We have polls and stories. So most of the users interact in a Q&A format. So on an average, every question that you ask on the platform, you will get 9 answers. So that's where the wisdom of the crowd piece comes in. You can ask a question, other moms in the similar stage who have gone through a similar journey, they will advise you, and then you can pick what's more popular. You can engage with those users, ask the question back again, and really get the real answer that you are looking for. And this is for those users who are basically wanting to get an independent opinion, right? So they like a lot of users today are just not okay with being told by their grandparents or with their in-laws of what to do. They want to make their own opinions, and that is what our platform provides them. So in terms of, now in the Q&A is how they interact, but how is really the community functioning? So there are a lot of subgroups that you usually need to create in a large community as you scale. Otherwise, it becomes unmanageable to build the right kind of relationships. So for us, we look at how many connections our users are making with each other. That's a true sense of community. There are multiple interest groups that we have launched. There are 80 plus subgroups that we have created. There are birth clubs, and we're gonna continue to scale this into more and more verticals like daycare, city, hospital. So multiple subgroups will be created out of the larger group of overall community of Milo. So I think coming to basically on the engagement platform now, how does this really help and enable our growth on our commerce? So we'll cover more on that, but very briefly, there are a lot of insights that we get basis the interactions of our user. We can run quick polls, quick surveys, and there is a lot of feedback on our new product development. Then on growth side, this helps feed into our SEO. which we are building very aggressively now. There is advocacy by the users. They are sharing the content, so that helps as advocacy. And there is a referral program that we're building on top of it. And lastly, on terms of commerce, so very importantly, this helps to create like for us, creating awareness about our own products is free of cost. We can leverage the traffic that we have and show the right message to the user. So if we know that somebody buys, whatever pregnancy pill in 22nd week of pregnancy and start researching about in 8th week of pregnancy, then our algorithms are structured in a way that they are able to surface the relevant content to that user at the right time. So that was the engagement platform bit. Now in the overall full stack solution, the second thing we'll talk about is Milo Store, and the third thing we'll talk about is Milo Clinic. So on Milo Store, we'll basically again talk about how this whole loop is built by us. So there is an engagement platform, and then there is Milo Store on top of it. So what that does is, we get the trust from the users. We get to know which are our top products. Our hero products are built out of that. There's a lot of consumer insights, and all of that helps us to further scale our online platform, our Milo Store, and the hero products out of that are scaled on to rest of the third-party platforms, or even offline down the line, which we are beginning to think now. But our engagement platform, a lot of our users, from a sales channel point of view, they sometimes would prefer a external player versus your own platform. So that actively feeds the whole loop inside the platform, feeds our presence of our products onto other platforms as well. And like we talked about the insights, so a lot of this is a launch pad for us in terms of building multiple DTC brands on top of Milo. For now we have these 3 sub brands under Milo. Everything is under Milo brand as a overall piece. So we have Milo Care, Milo Veda, Milo Essentials. These are the 3 sub brands, and we have launched 100+ products in a very quick time. Most of them are hitting PMF now and getting into the scale mode. All these products are centered on mother and the baby. And there is a further revamp going on, but I believe we are in the right slot now to continue to scale the number of products here. Since a lot of the product market fit testing for us is kind of free of cost, given the community is already there. So you feed them a product and then you get to know the feedback about that product. So that is a true engine, true power of community to commerce model that we have created. Having said that, even if you have a community, you have your commerce, you always need a very strong, high quality supply. Otherwise, why would a user buy your product? So I think there we are, head on and matched with whatever the best supply is out available in terms of products. So we work with best in class manufacturers. Our products have best in class certifications. We have multiple layers of certifications in terms of processes in terms of the quality checks, etc. And we of course have a very strong supply chain team that we have built. So a lot of our products are now hitting the zone of we're getting into this certainty around innovating for multiple categories at the same time, and we'll be launching some really industry firsts in this segment soon. So this was a little bit about our commerce engine, and very briefly I will talk about our services engine, which is in early stages. Like the commerce engine we launched in end of 2020. So right now there is a certain product market fit, and we are continuing to scale that. Whereas services engine is something that we've recently launched, like in last quarter, and we are continuing to find our PMF here. So on clinic, the pilots are going on. So we basically have zoomed into these 5 to 6 categories on pregnancy, conception, mothers, newborn babies, and weight loss. These are the 5 or 6 areas that we have zoomed on. All of them are live on our app. Then also we think of clinic in terms of packages, procedures, and partnerships. In packages, we have packages like weight loss packages or PCOS packages. These are the top problems that our community users talk about. And hence we have built solutions wherein we have our in-house, we have built a team around nutritionists, around dietitians, around coaches who are providing this care service to these users. We also have launch procedures where we work with our partners. With some of them are listed over here, and with them we kind of help them on actual conversion of the user. We don't work on lead gen model because we want to own the consumer experience. But all of this is essentially because we have a community that trusts us, and then we are able to scale into multiple adjacent areas or areas of concern for that community, and their trust in one segment is now translating into multiple business lines for us. And lastly, in the health service point of view, there is a potential to also build for the supply side, which is, in the products, it is like a product. So it's not there's no identity of a product as such, but from a service provider point of view, there are doctors, gynacs, and pedias, and other experts like lactation consultants or nutritionists or coaches in this segment. And we expect to become the default platform for some of those service providers also, and they are already engaged with us in terms of creating live sessions, creating live content for us, and all of this is acting into the feedback loop, wherein some of these pieces are leading to even more engagement and trust from the community members. So it's a supply demand thing in which we broke the chicken and egg problem by building the community on the user side first, and now we are bringing in this additional supply layer into our ecosystem. So yeah, that was the service part, and I think this is what I had briefly, so we can hopefully get into a Q&A mode from here.
Yeah, great session, Vinny. So for starters, if you could just take our audience through, what some generic but key aspects of the content community and commerce model.
Sorry, could you please repeat that?
Sure. So I was saying, if you could take the audience through some salient aspects of the content community and commerce model, some generic aspects of this model.
Yeah. So my opinion here is slightly more rolled up. Honestly, I don't believe that this is some new, unique, or different model. I think people have been doing it with various capacities forever. So almost all brands create content and then distribute that content. Like whatever you see on TV ads, etc., is basically a representation of the same thing, that they're creating the content and then they're distributing the content. So I think content and commerce have always been interlinked. What has happened with digital is that you can build a content only layer, build some engagement, and then insert your products or build some native advertisement, which is where the distribution cost is less or it is free. The creation cost of content stays the same. So I think the big difference, at least in the way we think about it and the way it is being looked outside, is how the community works. And I think community is slightly more nuanced in terms of how to really think about a community. I think it's different than a social network. It's different than just a content play. So essentially, you have to look at how the users are making connections, which are weak connections with each other, and how that is leading to better trust on the platform or on the brand. So I think that is something that is slightly an area I would like to think that we have innovated a little bit better or differently there. And I think overall, from a model point of view, like you can have a very high gross margin business on commerce, and then you can use just the content layer to scale that business, or you can, build a high engagement, high trust community or a content platform like we did, and then scale reverse into commerce. Ultimately, monetization alone from content community in India, it doesn't play out. The markets are not large enough. So I think if one has products, then you create content around it for sure. Do you create community around it? That depends on different use cases. It is not relevant in all use cases, right? So content is definitely relevant in all use cases in today's world, especially where users are starting their journey by learning about something online. They go to YouTube, they will search, or they will ask question, or they will like to discover it on Instagram. So that journey, if you map the path to purchase, then that's the starting point is happening online for a lot of discovery related categories. I think that is where the opportunity is for most brands or most commerce players to be part of the user's discovery engine, and then see if they can build sufficient trust and get the users to convert over the line to become a loyal purchaser of their products.
Right. So, also, are there any hacks for community building that you would like to share with us? Anything that that the audience should keep in mind if they go about building their own community?
Yeah, I think the most important hack I can tell you about community is that there is no hack for community. It is a very long-term play that one has to build. It is ultimately a trust game, and you cannot hack your trust. You hack your way into trust. If you do that, it will blow back for sure. So I think thinking about community versus content, there could be hacks for content you could do, but when you're building a community, it's essentially trust, and you're building a platform where users are interacting with each other. So essentially, you will have to let it grow, let it develop, build it brick by brick, and play the long game.
Sure.
Right.
Thank you. So, Vineet, you had also mentioned earlier that this works for most companies. So, in your opinion, which brands and which industries do you think would benefit the most from using a model like this?
So I think when I said, I think lot of discovery related products, they can discovery related categories, or slightly like categories with higher research element involved, where users take a lot more research, or a lot more reading the reviews, or trying to understand really the products. Like larger AOV products also make sense. In a category like beauty category, of course, content makes a lot of relevance. Community maybe not so much. In a parenting, in a category like parenting, content, community both play very good roles. So I think it will vary by category by category. I think what we'll have to think about is, one is that from a content point of view, do the users really need to understand the product, understand the offering, and is there a way we can communicate that to the user, like at the native level, like not like at a sales level. If you want to
Yeah.
sell something, then you can just build an ad and run on top of it. But is there more beyond just selling your products that is concerning that user in that category, and hence
Yeah.
there is an opportunity to create a lot of content around. So that is one. From a community point of view, I think it is very important to ask this question: that do these users really want to talk to each other, or do they, like, as a long tail, or do they want to talk to some influencer or some
Yeah.
some celebrity? Like in beauty category, they would want to hear from an influencer or a celebrity. So opportunity to build a community platform there is very small. Is actually non-existent. But in a mother category, they want to hear from each other, not from a celebrity. So I think that's where you can really build out a community play as well. So I think it varies by each segment, each industry, and then the how much online aware the users are. Let's say you are, let's take another example. You're building it for, let's say, diabetic patients. Now, while there is a need for them to possibly learn from experiences of other, but they are not online savvy a lot themselves, because maybe they are slightly old age, and they are asking questions and answering each other's experiences. That probably will not work. Whereas they can consume a lot of YouTube content around their health. So I think it goes back to thinking user first, then saying, does community make sense for my commerce layer here?
Yeah.
So, let's talk about the first C in this model, which is content. Uh, Vineet, what do you suggest are the ways that somebody should go about building content for their product or service? And then, from your experience at Milo, what has worked for you, what has not worked for you, and are there any tools that you recommend to measure the success of content, or to find out what's working, or what's not working?
Rachit, your voice is breaking a little. But if I understood your question correctly, you mentioned that you know how should one go about building the content?
Yes, that was the first part of my question. Yes. And
Okay.
then I asked about, you know, what are the tools that one should use to measure the success of the content and to find out what's working or not working.
Understood. So see, I think one thing I can emphasis upon while trying to create content, which essentially is you're thinking of that content will help me, essentially in your business, right? So ultimately there is a commerce layer on top of which you're trying to create this content. So once again, who's the purchaser, who's the target user? Once you have thought that through, I think from a content creation point of view, it is very important to put the distribution layer as your thought process upfront. So when you're thinking about the content creation, where and how are you going to distribute that content to reach your desired audience? So that should then ideally, reverse. That should definitely be a feedback loop into your approach and your strategy in of building and creating the content. So if your predominant way of reaching your users is YouTube and you're creating video content which is YouTube friendly, if your predominant way of reaching your user but your user is not on YouTube, your user is on Instagram or other areas, because whenever we're talking about creating content, we're talking online content. So there are not many platforms honestly online when you see where users spend a lot of their time. So you have to pick the platforms, you have to build your content that fits into that platform scheme of things. So you could, you are in a beauty category, you're writing something that will SEO, it is very, very hard for you to get there because a lot of people have done a lot of work over there. So I think, I would suggest that most people are able to think what kind of content they want to create, but they don't put the distribution layer on top of it. So you work backwards from your distribution into your content strategy. That will usually avoid any pitfalls, and then that also helps your other point what tools, right? So because most platforms also provide the tools in itself to measure the engagement, measure the content reach or clicks or views or etc etc. So it's important to pick your battles, zoom in onto few platforms that you think your audience is stuck onto, and then go deep dive onto that and measure your data that that is provided with the platform. If you're picking SEO, then Google provides a lot of data. If you're putting YouTube, again YouTube provides a lot of data. If you're picking Instagram, they provide a lot of data. So essentially the platform itself provides you a lot of data. I think you can always add some tools on top of it, etc. We don't do much of that. We focus on the real specifics of the platform and then double dive onto that.
Sure.
So, Vineet, you had also spoken before about how Milo started building a community much like Quora did. And you said that in the beauty industry, people typically go for an influencer marketing strategy because people want to hear. So, other than these two ways, are there any other models that you can use to build up your community and engage with the right audience?
See, ultimately, once again, you have to think of the community as, is it a user to user discussion? Is it a user to expert or a user to like a business? User to business is where you're creating your own content. Like you can call it a PGC content, professionally generated content. That's what we call it. But you basically have then two models. One is where users talks to each other, which is we call UGC popularly, and then users talks to some kind of a power figure or an influencer. When we say influencer now, even doctors can be thought of as an influencer. It's basically somebody with a concentrated knowledge or a concentrated influence. That's what you say is an influencer. So, I think the segments in which you are, swung by the opinions of very segmented few people. Let's say wherever you go and talk to doctors, anything you have doctors on one side, they can become influencers, provided you create the content in the way you desire. Of course, there are a lot of influences around beauty, around food. So I think that is very, very common and popular. So I don't think like there is any third way or any shortcut to any kind of community building. I think the longest and the hardest route is a user to user engagement kind of a platform, which takes a lot of time, and we are still learning about it 4 years into it. But again, it's a long term play. If you are keen and your segment is suitable for it, then this definitely works in a long term way. It's like, SEO takes years to kick in, but once it kicks in, it gives your business a very good leverage. I think community should be thought, at least a user to user community should be thought in the same way. Whereas user to influencers is something that it becomes a little bit of balance sheet game, that who has got more money. So if you have a lot of money, you can spend on influencers, get very good traction. But influencers will become expensive and they will move to somebody else, and then some other brand will pay them. So the moats there are lesser, the growth there is faster.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Vineet, you spoke about content personalization at Milo, and I'm sure that the community you have built is also a result of some of this content personalization that is being done. But in your opinion, can the audience connect or the love for a brand be artificially manufactured, or does it have to come uh, from the is it the outcome of a successful content and commerce strategy?
So I think so. Again, to frame your question, I think what you're saying is that is can we manufacture love for the brand or brand equity without the content community strategy, or is that the only way? Or basically what you're saying is my content community strategy leading to brand love? Then absolutely yes. Is that the only way? Then absolutely no. And then when we say manufacture, I think I would rather want to use a word called engineer, because manufacture, it looks like slightly you're manufacturing your art, you're putting something which is not out there. But you can engineer brand love into various ways. Content community is one of the ways. Of course, there are, how the quality of your product, how good it is. Does it really solve a consumer? You can create all content community. If your product is not great, then users don't care. They'll take all the knowledge from you. They will not buy from you again. So I think brand love, of course, whatever traditional metrics in which products have been built, and large brands have been built when there was no content community. I mean, the largest brands still are the brands which are not online yet, or maybe having a very small online presence. So I think content community is a metric that we apply a lot on online brands, but all online brands combined are possibly smaller than maybe one or two largest brands in the country today. So they have been built. There is a lot of brand love that they have generated. So it is not that this is the only route or one route. I think the advantages of this route is that being online is that you can start small, you can play in some niches, you can personalize for a cohort of users which maybe the traditional bigger players will not look at it initially, and then you can scale around that. So there are many advantages of the online game. But I think the larger FMCG companies or larger companies have cracked the brand love without content community as a core play. Therefore, it is important to understand that what is common and what is different. And it is very difficult to kind of challenge or compete with a large brand on their home turf. You can obviously gain some leverage by building a strong content community, generating the initial brand love, having a foot in the door into that category. And then for scale, all categories needs to be omni-channel. Therefore, the brand love that you generated online has to translate into some bit of an omni-channel strategy. So for that itself, again, you have to engineer brand love in different ways also. So I think to overall, my quick response onto this is that content community plays a very good role when you're building online, starting an initial foot in the door. For scale, you will have to go back to traditional ways of, and of course the core elements of this continues to be your product is great, it is solving a user problem, there is some innovation, some differentiation layer that you have added, the pricing is great, all of that has to happen, and then content community on top of it gives you foot in the door when you start online.
Sure.
So Vineet, as well, one more question towards this, which is a follow-up kind of, is that does the content community and commerce model work successfully only for new age businesses? Or is it something that a traditional business that has been around for years can implement into their play to boost their commerce?
So if this is a little break, but basically what you're saying is that is this only work for the new age players, or is this something that can also work for the traditional players?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think of course the traditional players know a lot more and lot more, and they have a great insight into their brands and their products that they have scaled to large volumes, which most online players are not able to get to, at least online, and they will have to go on the channel. And so I mean, I think the opportunity window for online only players to create content and capture some real sweet spots, etc., is fast diminishing. I think most of the larger brands have also realized, and they are keen, and they have understood that even if the purchase is not happening online, the discovery and the trust building or the understanding about the product or the category is happening online by the users in form of content. So I don't think that awareness is not there in large brands today. Maybe 3 years, 4 years back, that was not the case, but today I don't think that is the case. And then once that is there, then it is a matter of they taking this decision of saying that yes, we want to be also presence in these keywords online, and we also want to create content around this. So I mean, they are more than capable of creating all of that very, very quickly, to be honest. And their scale allows them to invest a lot more into the content. Like I was initially saying, be it influencers, be it creating your own content, that's a balance sheet game. So if somebody has a much larger money, they can create a lot more content and then capture those positions online. So has it happened at scale by other brands? I don't know. Maybe some of them have done it, but I'm not aware of it right now. But I think from whatever I speak in the industry and talk to people, there is a very strong resemblance to this thought process. So the opportunity window is fast. I wouldn't say closing, but it's getting more and more crowded, which is most larger brands are also aware of this online brand building and awareness generation by content creation as well.
Sure. Thank you.
Right. So we have some questions from the audience, Vineet. So I'll just jump to those. The first question is from, so this is from somebody who's anonymous. What are the terms you set with different manufacturers to produce products under the Milo brand?
Yeah, so I think there is no, like, obviously this varies by products that and scale of manufacturer. I mean, usually manufacturers are concerned about a couple of things. One is, will I get my money or not if I produce? Second is that what is the batch size? What is the MOQ? Is it worth the effort? Luckily, what has happened is that most of the manufacturers have seen some very good DTC brands scale up very quickly, and hence they are open to working with you and experimenting with you slightly more than maybe what was there when the first generation of DTC brands were picking up. At that time, maybe manufacturers would have been slightly more. But if you can convince them of the potential of the scale that you will bring, they are ready to test it out with you. And I think this industry works a lot on relationships, so having some old relationships always helps. So those softer aspects actually decide a lot more about the terms. So you have very good relationship somewhere, and the terms can be better. So I think terms are typically around when you pay, what you pay, do you pay on delivery, do you pay advance, and then what is the manufacturing cost, what is the conversion cost, do you get access to this information of that, what is the cost of raw material and what is the cost of conversion on top of it, or does the manufacturer just tells you that this is the price I'm going to charge, and you have no idea about the raw material cost and the conversion cost. And I think some of these these questions get resolved as you build scale, as you build more relationship with this vendor, and you place some repeat orders. They are always more excited with that aspect as well. So yeah, I think it's a function of multiple things. It's difficult when you start out. Gets easier as you begin to get some scale.
Right. Uh, so thanks for that, Vineet. The next question, again, we have from somebody who's anonymous, is really loved the presentation and the product that you have created. Could you share the products or services that you launched from the beginning of the platform in chronological order? What did you build first and then next and then next? Hello.
Yeah, just I think he is having some bandwidth issue and it should be resolved. Hi Vineet, I think you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry, there's a little bit of issue in with my machine, so I'm logging in from my phone. Can we please kickstart? Question, what was the question?
Sure. Just give me one minute. Right. Yeah. So this question was really loved the presentation and the product that you have created. Could you share the products and services that you launched from the beginning of the platform in chronological order? What did you build first and next and then next?
So yeah, I think we have a lot of products now launched. So I think the overall chronological order will be quite detailed. But um, I think from a thought process point of view, what we have always zoomed into whatever community needs, and that gave us an initial list of products, and that came from the discussions and talking to our users a lot of that. And once you have that, then you have to also layer in that what you can actually create as a product, where you have some differentiation, some kind of advantage in the market to be able to create that, or you see some gap. So that narrows down that list. And then further areas that we initially used was we didn't want to get into industries that are very that are perishable, that require a lot of user trust upfront. So, for example, a lot of consumer health required much more user trust than, let's say, something in essentials or in personal care. The products around the baby requires a lot more trust than the mother will use for herself. So, where do you find the higher hurdle rate? We kind of delayed work on that. We first focused on where we could get initial traction better. So I think applying that thought process, avoiding food and fashion as a category, because again, food tends to be perishable, fashion again tends to be perishable, it changes, you are stuck with inventory. So avoiding some of um, those those pitfalls or applying those specific areas. Because I mean, we had an open canvas, right? So I'm like, we basically had a community and we could have scaled in whichever direction. We decided to be very sharp and narrow initially, build some traction there, and now with the product market fit, we are continuing to scale into various verticals.
Right. Thanks. Okay. So we have one more question, and this is from Kailash Tulsi Gajra. We are a handmade products marketplace. Do you think the content community commerce strategy is apt for us? Could you suggest any other strategy for scale? Thank you.
So yeah, I think I can take the first one. I think as if you are a marketplace, then content as a play definitely should work for you. I am not so sure about the community. Maybe the users want to interact about about the product on your platform, which you can always build. But for that, you need to first bring the users to your platform. So content will help you get users to your platform. I think handmade products, if presented well, and then you have sufficient, you know, you put the right focus in terms of which platforms you want to target in terms of content. So there could definitely be a growth opportunity in terms of using content, be it by SEO or by YouTube, or putting influencers who are showcasing your product. I think that you will have to pick and choose. But I do feel that content as an approach definitely works. Definitely should work for a product like this, um, in my opinion.
Right. So yeah, that's all the questions we have from the audience. Uh,
Okay.
yeah. And anything else, Madhu?
Yeah, so we did just get one last short question on our Instagram as well. Vineet, if you could. So it said, what according to you are the future trends for community content and commerce, and what can we do to keep up with them?
Oh, so yeah, so I think it's always very difficult to predict.
Yeah.
It's mostly for, maybe the consultants and people who are looking at a lot of industries. Maybe somebody who is an investor, they're much better position. I think from our point of view, what we narrowly look at and more sharply look at ourselves is that, the penetration of online content, online adoption is already quite high. It will continue to increase in regional languages, um, audiences who are slightly off. Let's say slightly more younger audience, they're already online, but maybe slightly older audience will also be lot more researching and reading online. So I think that trend and trajectory, if you pick, then there is an opportunity to build content, build community, as the use case is relevant into those cohorts. So I think that data is usually available on where is the future growth going to come from. Like back in 2017, it was like a lot of women will come online, but now where is that? So one can study that and then see who are the new audiences coming online. So usually the opportunities lies in that area. And then from a community to commerce thought process, I think um, this will get like more traction, more adoption as we go along, as the competition in online uh, performance marketing world increases. Then the brands will start to look at more and more organic engagement with the users through content, through community. So if at all this will get more buyers in this model, which basically means that if you are a service provider in the content community area, then there is definitely a lot of play that you can expect coming your way from bigger brands, larger brands. You can carve out your niche and work out in that manner on helping some of the brands build their online presence. I think that is, influencers an extension. The growth in influencer segment is an extension of that. Uh, and lastly, I think one, while we're talking about influencers, is that the presence of influencers online is going to grow and compound, and the segments that are influencer led are going to possibly see a lot of influencers launching their own brands, and a lot of aggregators coming up who will support these influencers to directly work and launch brand under their own name. And hence, if you're very very dependent as a brand on influencer, then that's an area of concern possibly for some other brands as
Yeah.
well. So I think that could be another area that will gain some traction. But again, I always say it's very hard to predict what's going to really happen outside of your own space or own segment. I think very narrowly in our own segment, um, we continue to see users trusting more and more, looking for more and more trusted content online, and that's something that we are creating and scaling in the world. And that trust is translating in our case in our products and in our services, and that's something we continue to zoom on to.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vineet. This was a wonderful
Okay.
session. Yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone. No, I had a wonderful time interacting with everybody here, and I wish everybody, all the best in your respective areas. And fantastic to anchor these questions and share my experience.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank,
everyone.
Thank
thank
you.
you.